and they were a threat. I'll tell you what's the threats. It's no policing, it's cutting stop and search, it's every mother, every woman, every teenager walking down the street and worried they're going to be raped, mugged, every shop suffering shoplifting every half an hour. That's the real threat. And I guess...
Hey everyone, welcome back to Julian Discourse. In this explosive GB news clash, watch Reform UK's Laila Cunningham completely corner a Labour apologist. When she demands one single piece of evidence to justify Labour's desperate smears, he immediately collapses into debunked lies, exposing a panicked ruling class that is terrified of populist accountability. Hit subscribe and let's watch their narrative collapse in real time.
One of my viewers says, Michelle, if Donald Trump was a candidate in this country, he would win by a landslide. He says our politicians are an absolute shambles. And he says if he had enough money, he would be gone. Lots of you share that sentiment. Before the break, Laila Cunningham was pointing out Sadiq Khan, his constant desire to keep calling people far right, talking about division, making out he wants to unify people while literally also calling people names such as far right. She was asking you whether or not things like wanting control of your borders, etc., is far right.
So specifically, Laila, you said to me, is it far right, is it right wing to be in favour of more police? Is it far right to be in favour of securing your borders? No, of course it's not. And this government is trying to deliver on those issues, but they are complicated and they take time. In terms of the demonstrators on Saturday, no, I think the vast majority of them were not far right, but the organisers of that march most certainly were. Tommy Robinson is a convicted criminal, a former football hooligan who is utterly vile. Elon Musk, who was piped into that rally and demonstration, was talking about violence is coming to you, fight back or die, a clear incitement to violence. Now, I would hope...
Anyone that watched that full Elon Musk speech, I do need to make this point because Elon Musk is not here to defend himself, of course, is always welcome. When you watch that full 18-minute speech, he wasn't telling people to get out and get your pitchfork and start stabbing each other up the backside. He was talking about rallying around and fighting against the changes
I respectfully disagree. I think his words have got meaning, and I think they were inciting people to commit violence. But in terms of, and you know, I would hope that Reform would distance themselves from the organisers of that demonstration. We'll wait to see if that's the case. But in terms of Sadiq...
Why? Why do they have to do that? Why?
Because we want respectable politicians who believe in the rule of law in this country, not people who are prepared to support a baying mob and people like Tommy Robinson. However, hold on, let me come to the...
You have spoken, but yeah, go on.
And you've spoken for an awful long time,
well,
so let me come to the point about Sadiq Khan.
I
think his criticisms are valid, but this is not the time to make them about Donald Trump. And I think it is grandstanding and it is unhelpful during a state visit when we should be seeking to persuade and negotiate with Trump.
Sadiq Khan wasn't only vocal about Trump. He called the people on that march far right and dangerous, and he said minorities felt threatened walking in the streets and they were a threat. I'll tell you what's the threat. It's no policing, it's cutting stop and search, it's every mother, every woman, every teenager walking down the street and worried they're going to be raped, mugged, every shop suffering shoplifting every half an hour. That's the real threat. And again, I'm going to ask you, you seem to agree that fighting for borders, fighting against illegal migrants who come here to sexually assault our girls, fighting for more police, fighting for more accountability from our politicians is not far right. So I'm going to come to a question at the end. But Sadiq Khan and you seem to think that populism is some kind of an insult. I wear that badge with pride because it means that I'm talking and I'm representing the people who have been silenced by the elite, by being smeared as racist, as far right. No, hang on. I would rather be a populist than a silent elite that completely ignores people's concerns and safety and has the audacity to smear people far right who stand up and say enough to protect their position. So I'm going to ask you one more time. Two questions. Do you agree with Sadiq Khan, your Labour member colleague, who says that everyone on that march is a threat to our country and is far right? And please tell me, on what basis do you call Reform far right? Give me one thing we have said that you would classify as far right. If it's just populism, Bill, my friend, then I'm more than happy to wear that badge.
We've only got about a minute and a half left, so go on.
grew up in a council house.
I don't want to...
No, hold on. You've had a long say. I grew up in a council house and went to a local comprehensive school and resent being called part of an elite. I'm not part of an elite. I've spent my life trying to represent people, but not peddling simplistic solutions for very complicated problems. And you ask me why Reform are far right. I'll give you one example, the commitment to dismantle the National Health Service.
That's a lie.
It's not a lie.
When was that said?
It was said in about 2015 by Nigel Farage.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, he said he wanted to move towards an insurance-based system.
And have you peddle such lies?
It's not a lie. It's not a lie.
You cannot debate the truth.
I will provide you with...
Labour cannot debate the truth.
I will provide you with the quote where he said it and when he said it.
It's shocking how Labour peddle lies to beat Reform. Be honest with the people. That's why they don't trust you, because you lie over and over again. We never said that, and you know very well it's not that
Laila,
policy. Is that all you have to
Laila,
go on?
I gave you one example.
Give me one more example. Give me a real example, Bill.
That is categorically not true to say that Nigel Farage never said that.
Give me a real example.
Are you really saying Nigel Farage never said that?
Yes, I am.
If you are £100 bet...
that is not a Reform policy.
I'll have a £100 bet with you.
I'm saying, listen, this is not a joke. It's not about £100. It's about the future of our country.
No, it's about denying things that your leader has said.
Give me why we are far right.
I've given you one example. I could give you other examples.
One more. Give me one more.
When you say populism is about representing the people, it's not.
Really?
It's about presenting misleading, simplistic solutions to very complicated...
What have we presented as misleading solutions?
So, for example, your commitments to abolish income tax below £20,000 are not the first...
You mean the stealth income tax that you've imposed on our nation?
Are you going to let me finish?
No,
and not the first instance of how you're going to pay for it.
I'm not going to let either of you finish, thank you, because my programme's about to finish. Instead, I shall hear from Councillor Mason Humberson. He's a Labour councillor that's defected to Reform. He says that he feels the Labour Party is too often speaking for a metropolitan elite rather than the people that they're meant to serve. He has gone. He feels very proud to have defected to Reform UK. I can tell you this debate will rumble on, but not on this programme it won't, because that's the end.
What you just witnessed on GB News is the absolute panic of a political establishment that has completely run out of arguments. When a Labour apologist is backed into a corner over broken borders, rising crime, and the collapse of public safety, he doesn't have a legitimate defense. Instead, he pulls the emergency ripcord of the progressive left. He smears common sense populism as far right, and then immediately defaults to the ultimate political lie, claiming his opponents want to dismantle the NHS. To understand why this exchange is so educational, you have to look at the undeniable facts and the official policy record. When challenged by Laila Cunningham, the Labour panelist desperately referenced a decade-old debate from 2015 where Nigel Farage simply discussed the merits of a French-style social insurance system. But what is the actual truth today? In Reform UK's official 2024 Contract with You manifesto, they specifically pledged an additional $17 billion a year to the NHS and introduced a patient voucher scheme to eradicate wait times, explicitly guaranteeing that healthcare remains free at the point of use. Why does the establishment lie so blatantly? Because it is a distraction tactic. Think about it like a failing mechanic. If a mechanic has spent over a decade wrecking your engine, draining your wallet, and leaving you stranded on the side of the road, his only survival strategy is to convince you that the other garage down the street is going to blow up your car. The ruling class is overseeing a society where citizens cannot walk safely through their own neighborhoods, and taxpayers are mercilessly squeezed to fund failing bureaucracies. When everyday voters finally say enough, the elite calls them far right to silence them. They demand your taxes, but they despise your values. Thank you for watching Julian Discourse. If you refuse to let the establishment gaslight you with cheap smears, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and I'll see you next time.